The hall was bright, the music sweet, the bride's smile calm. But just as the pastor said, "You may now speak your truth," a hidden phone inside the bouquet started ringing, and a voice on speaker shouted, "Amara, before you say yes, check the groom's left pocket. The key you find there is the reason your father lost everything." Now, let me tell you how two enemies became lovers, how Lagos carried them like downfall buses in morning rush, how secrets walked on slippers and ran on sneakers, and why that small old key nearly tore a new marriage before it started. And if you are just joining us, hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up and turn on the notifications bell so you never miss a story like this one. I am the storyteller. I sit in traffic with everybody. I buy bolly by the roadside. I hear gist at barber shops and pepper soup joints. My name is Tega, a boat driver by day and a collector of true Lagos tales by night. And this is the story of Amara and Tunde Adeyemi, two young Nigerians who fought like harmattan and mango rain until love happened and changed everything they believed about family, power and truth. It started like many Lagos stories start, with a contract, a tweet and a rumor. Amara was the brain behind Light Up Learn, a small but shining startup from Yaba that taught children with simple videos, voice explanations and local language captions for kids who needed extra help. She was calm like early morning water on Badagry Beach and stubborn like a keke driver with correct change. Tunde led Boat Blue Edu, another young company sharp like fresh headquarters at Surulere with big investors, big office plans and big mouth on social media. The Lagos State Ministry of Education announced a new plan to give tablets and learning apps to public schools. The contract was big enough to make people forget their manners. Amara and Tunde both wanted it. On Twitter, Tunde called Light Up Learn a cute hobby. Amara replied that Boat Blue was flash without foundation. Their followers clapped and laughed, and the street cats of the internet began to hiss and search. In Nigeria, words move faster than BRT on a free Sunday. Soon, blogs said Amara was visiting the commissioner at night. Other blogs said Tunde's father, Mr. Adeyemi, a well-known contractor, was bankrolling his son to take over the education sector. I was there the first day they stood face to face. It was at the pitch event in Ikeja. The AC was cold, but the room was hot with pride. Amara wore a simple blue dress and held a demo tablet like a baby. Tunde wore a fine suit and laughed too loud. I drove a small Corolla that day and dropped a ministry staff at the gate, so I had excuse to wait around and watch. Amara spoke first. She talked about a girl in Ikorodu who nearly dropped out because she could not read long paragraphs. So Light Up Learn used voice, cartoons and Igbo and Yoruba captions to help. She brought a teacher to testify. The teacher cried small. The room was quiet. Then Tunde came and showed a big dashboard with data that could track every lesson, every tab, every child's progress. He promised a 24-hour helpline and duty engineers in each district. People clapped. After the pitch, Tunde walked to Amara with that smile of a man who thinks he already won. "Your story is cute," he said, "but the state needs scale." Amara looked at him like a nurse who had seen too much. "Children are not numbers," she said. "Your dashboard cannot hug a child that is tired." "Maybe," Tunde said, "but my dashboard can tell a teacher when a child is lost." "And still, the child is lost," Amara said and walked away. That night, a fake story landed online like thunder. A grainy video showed a lady entering a hotel with a commissioner. The title said, "Light Up Learn CEO caught at night." It was not Amara, but the face looked like her enough to make lazy eyes believe. Hashtags exploded. Sponsors ran from Amara like rain from fire. Some people told her to lie low or apologize for something she didn't do. She refused. "I will not apologize for a lie," she said. She sat in a small office in Yaba and looked at the ceiling like it had answers. Her younger brother Chibuike was hungry and wanted to fight internet with internet. Their mother, Mama Amara, told them to pray and drink tea. "I know because my cousin cleaned their office in the evening and carried gist to me with plantain chips." Next week, the city gave Amara a small mercy wrapped in wahala. On 3rd Mainland Bridge, rain fell like it had a score to settle. Two cars kissed where they should not kiss. Hooking everywhere, wipers fighting, Lagos shouting. Amara was in one car, Tunde in the other. By some cruel joke from the traffic gods, they both stepped out at the same time and saw each other in the storm. Before they could argue, Chibuike in Amara's back seat started wheezing. His inhaler had finished. Panic in the rain. Tunde ran to his glove box and brought out his own inhaler. His younger cousin had asthma too. He handed it to Amara. It was not a business dashboard. It was not scale. It was a small plastic life. Chibuike breathed. Rain washed away some pride. In that minute, they were not enemies. They were two Lagos people trying to help a boy breathe. Thank you, Amara said softly. You are welcome, Tunde said, surprised by his own heart. After that day, something changed, but public enemies still have to act like public enemies. Another blog dropped another rumor. This time, it said Tunde was bribing a permanent secretary. Photos showed a Ghana must-go bag in the trunk of a black SUV. The plate number looked like his. He swore it was not his car. He posted receipts, timestamps. The net did not care. People care more about gist than truth. Quietly, Amara did a small brave thing. She wrote a simple tweet. Stop sharing lies, she said. Even when you don't like someone, you should not lie about them. Her followers were shocked. Tunde saw it and his eyes softened. Love starts like that sometimes. A stand for fairness, not a kiss. Days turned into to-do lists. The ministry said the final decision would be made after a joint pilot in two schools. Light Up Learn will run one school, Both Blue would run the other. Results would be public. I followed this story like football. I even drove one of the evaluation teachers to the schools and stole glances through the window. In Amara's school, I saw her kneel to a small boy's level and explain a math concept with bottle tops and a song. In Tunde's school, I saw him fix a tablet, calm a rowdy class and call his engineers to move faster with the network. Both teams were good. That is the truth. But the city had already built a fight poster. Someone wanted that fight to be dirty. The night before the final results were due, Amara's office door was broken. Laptops vanished. Her code repository locked like a cupboard after a rat visit. She sat on the floor and held her head. It's him, Chibuike started. It's that Tunde. Mama Amara told him to lower his voice. Accusing without proof is also theft. Mama said, you are stealing peace. Amara breathed in and out, wiped her eyes and called the police. She also called one person she never planned to call, Tunde. When an enemy returns your inhaler in the rain, you learn that life is not clean lies. I didn't do this, Tunde said before she could speak. But whoever did it wants us to hate each other so we won't look up and steal the real thief. Then help me, Amara said. I will, he said. Let's meet in public. Too many eyes are watching. They met at Freedom Park. Musicians were rehearsing under soft light. People were eating barbecue. I was there, sipping malt and pretending to be part of the night while listening like microphone. Tunde came with BC, his small but mighty cyber friend who wore hoodies in hot weather. Amara came with Chibuike and a folder of pains. They compared stories and noticed a pattern. Each rumor about Amara and each rumor about Tunde came from one Instagram page, a gist caller. The writing on that page sounded playful, but it carried poison in plastic. The page posted at odd hours, always when some government thing was about to be announced. BC tracked the page to a printing press in Surulere, where a certain Chief Okon had his posters done for many years. Chief Okon was the kind of big man who greeted the camera with two hands and greeted truth with one eye. He wanted the education contract for his dummy company. He had already promised tablets that could not charge and apps that could not open. His plan needed the real competition to waste time fighting each other. So this is bigger than both of us, Tunde said. Then we stand together, Amara said, and for the first time, their eyes did not quarrel. They planned a sting at a hotel. They told EFCC quietly. They put live trackers on the envelope of evidence the fixer asked for. I drove the decoy car and parked where they told me. We all acted small roles like church drama team. Me, the driver, BC, the photographer, Chibuike, the angry cousin, Tunde, the unknown sponsor, and Amara, the scared CEO, even though fear was not her style. The fixer came. He wore sunglasses at night like a low-budget villain. He took the envelope and smiled with teeth that did not like water. As he turned to go, BC pressed something on her phone. A dot moved on her screen. We saw the fixer go to the printing press. We saw him send files to an office upstairs. The FCC moved silent like cats. They caught the fixer, the press manager, the laptop that controlled the gist caller. But when the officers tried to enter the last room, the door was already open. Inside a neat desk, a cold fan and a photo of Chief Okon shaking hands with Mr. Adeyemi, Tunde's father. The air went cold. Tunde stood still. "What is my father's photo doing here?" he asked. Nobody wanted to answer. Lagos has a way of holding her breath right before surprise. EFCC took statements. The next day, the agency invited both families for questioning. Mr. Adeyemi came in, fine native with perfume that could blind mosquito. He smiled at cameras. Behind the smile was iron. "It is a coincidence," he said. "I do business with many printing presses, but BC had more receipts than a crowded supermarket." She pulled up bank logs showing that an affiliate of Mr. Adeyemi's company paid the press for media services the same week Gist Cola started posting lies. She added a video of the fixer entering Mr. Adeyemi's old warehouse in Apapa to pick up Ghana must go bags. The room spun. "Daddy," Tunde whispered, "tell them it's not you." Mr. Adeyemi did not shout. He inhaled. "Son," he said, "you want to build new Nigeria with foam words. You think these contracts come with prayers and patience? Let me protect you like I tried to protect myself. This city eats gentlemen." "But you fed it," Tunde said. "You taught it to chew children's chances." The ministry paused the contract process. The block stunned. People who used to hail Gist Cola now said, "I always suspected." This is how people behave when wind changes. Amara's mother visited the Hanyanwu's family old pain that night. She brought out a small rusty key from a tin box. "Your father lost his garage because someone moved the boundary peg, forged paper and pushed police to lock his store," she told Amara and Chibuike. "We never found the person, but I kept the key to the old gate as a reminder that truth sleeps lightly." The key looked like a tooth from a giant. It had letters AA 1999 scratched on it. AA for Anyanwu Auto, Mama said. 1999, the year we cried. Meanwhile, Tunde went home and sat across from his father. "You taught me to be brave," he said. "Bravery without conscience is madness," his mother answered quietly from the corner. She was a quiet woman who liked plants and scriptures. "Your father is not a monster," she said. "He is a man who was afraid of being small in a loud world. Fear is the root of many wrong trees in our land." The city waited. The ministry formed a panel. EFCC requested more files. Chief Okon ran away to Cotonou and started posting Bible verses on Facebook. People were angry but also tired. In the middle of all this, something soft arrived. Amara and Tunde kept working together on a free pilot for schools, without contract money, without noise. They recruited volunteer teachers and gave children tablets donated by ordinary people. When work is real, it does not wait for a ribbon to be cut. They worked late, laughed a little, argued a little, ate roadside suya without shame. One night, after a long training in Mushin, they stood by my car and the street light wrapped them in gold. Tunde looked at Amara and said, "You are the most patient fire I have ever seen." Amara looked at him and said, "You are the loudest heart I have ever heard." They were still public enemies in comment section, but in truth, they were learning each other's weather. Love did not fall like thunder. It grew like cassava, quietly underground, until one day the leaves were everywhere. When they finally told their families, storms came. Mama Amara worried about the old pain. "How do I trust a name that tried to take our bread?" she asked. "How do you punish a son for his father's sins?" Amara asked back. "We did not punish Jesus for Judas. We punished Judas." Mr. Adeyemi said nothing for many days. He traveled to Abuja and returned with eyes that had seen a new world. Later, we learned he had been called to answer more questions about past contracts. Some of his partners were already singing like canary birds. The city was moving. One evening, he sent a message to Amara. "Come with your mother," he wrote. "There's something to return." They went to an old warehouse in Apapa. I followed. Don't ask how. Some doors open when you carry no pride. In a corner under a dusty tarp sat a metal locker. Mr. Adeyemi opened it and brought out a set of old keys on a ring. He picked one and placed it in Mama Amara's palm. The letters read, AA 1999. "I found this in a box from years ago," he said. "I did not move the peg myself, but I allowed men who did it to use my name because I wanted a quick deal. I believed it was normal Lagos hustle." It was wrong. I am sorry. The room felt like it was holding back tears. Mama Amara closed her eyes. Return is a good first step, she said, but repair is better. Mr. Adeyemi nodded like a man learning a new alphabet. I will repair, he said, even if repair is prison and public shame. Justice and Mercy shook hands but did not hug yet. After that, the street started to breathe. The ministry, under new pressure, decided to run a transparent, live-streamed final where both teams would show what they could do, and an independent board, including head teachers and parents, would vote. No brown envelopes, no midnight calls. On the day of the final, something beautiful happened. Instead of fighting, Amara and Tunde proposed a joint plan. Light Up Learn would handle content and child-friendly methods. Both Blue would handle robust technology and support. Two companies, one mission. The crowd murmured, surprised, then started clapping like rain on zinc. The board voted yes. The commissioner smiled the careful smile of a man who wants to keep his job. Even the bloggers were confused. Are they not enemies? They asked. I smiled in my seat. Enemies can become partners when truth enters the room with two chairs. That was when love finally took off its shoes and sat down. With families slowly accepting, with work going forward, Tunde planned a proposal that was simple and honest. He took Amara to the school where they first did the pilot together, the same class with bottle-top math songs. He asked the children to hold up letters that read, Amara, marry me so we can teach love together. She laughed. She cried. She said yes. Lagos shouted for joy on a small street that day. The wedding day came like a bus you did not expect to arrive on time. Friends and aunties dressed in colors that could make the sun jealous. The hall in Victoria Island was plenty with perfume, long eyelashes and joy. My car had ribbon on the mirror because I had carried the flower girl and her mother. I wore my best native and planned to quietly tell the story later. If stories were rivers, that day was a waterfall. Then came the 15 seconds you already know. As the pastor raised his hand, a phone hidden in the bouquet started ringing. The DJ reduced the music. People turned. The voice on the speaker said, Amara, before you say yes, check the groom's left pocket. The key you find there is the reason your father lost everything. Gasped, jumped like small goats. Amara's hands shook, but her eyes were steady. She reached into Tunde's pocket and pulled out a small rusty key, AA 1999. The hall made a sound like overturned plates. Tunde swallowed. I was going to tell you, he said, after we signed, before the dance. Tell her now, the voice demanded. Security traced the call and the screen showed unknown. The voice laughed softly. If you want this marriage to be true, pour full truth now. Tunde faced Amara. I found the key in my father's safe 2 weeks ago when he told me he would repair things. I kept it in my pocket as a reminder to say everything today. The person on that phone is trying to use truth to break us again. He looked at the crowd. My father is ready to confess fully. He will sign papers to return land paid damages, cooperate with EFCC. He is here. Mr. Adeyemi stood. He did not smile. He walked to the front slowly like a man walking against wind. It is true, he said to the hall. I cannot undo 1999, but I can undo my silence. I will face court. He raised his hands towards Mama Amara. I am sorry. The hall was so quiet you could hear the hair stand. Then the maid door opened and the hair moved again. EFCC officers walked in, not with noise but with purpose, not for drama but for duty. They had new warrants, not only for Chief Okon, but also for 2 more names on the contract ring. They were not after the groom, they were not after the bride, they were after a guest at the high table. Senator Gbadamoshi, the smiling uncle who had been nodding all night. He tried to stand, then tried to sit, then tried to melt into his agbada. It did not work. The hall scattered. Aunties ran in circles. Uncles shouted, Jesus. Camera phones went up like stars. In the middle of the noise, Amara and Tunde locked eyes. Do you still choose me? He asked, voice low, eyes wet. I choose truth, she said, and I choose if you stand inside it. I do, he said. Then I do, she answered. The pastor looked at the chaos, looked at the couple and smiled. We can sign anywhere, he said. Love is not afraid of rain or siren. We all trooped outside, laughing, shaking, confused, breathing. Under the sky that could not mind our wahala. By the car park with small breeze and big talk, they signed. People cheered. Drummers found rhythm again. Children danced like the world was fresh. And the voice on the phone? Security finally traced it to a small device hidden under the main flower stand. The SIM was registered with fake details. The call had been scheduled earlier to cause panic. Panic did not win, but we still did not know who planted it. The cake was out, the soup was hot, the ring on Amara's finger glittered like promise. Then the final twist came, the one that will keep this city talking till next month's rent. As the couples took photos, my own phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number, only 4 words and one video. The 4 words, upload at 6 p.m. The video, a clean file showing bank transfers from Senator Gbadamo's shell company to the printing press, to the fixer, to the anonymous blogger page called G-Scholar. The last transfer had a memo line that read, for bouquet surprise. Another alert dropped. This time, the sender asked, "Storyteller, are you ready?" I looked around the car park at Amara holding her mother's hand, at Tunde hugging his father like someone saying goodbye to old lies, at the guests dancing like they had not just seen the stage change shape. I pressed play again. The video ended with the camera turning to the person recording. The face was familiar, simple, the type you ignore in a crowded room. It was me. It was me, Tega, the boat driver and collector of Lagos gist, staring into the lens on a late night in Surulere, whispering, "Evidence collected, Operation Fair Future." And in that instant, you will ask me, "So you were G-Scholar, the page that started the mess?" Listen well, I was not the liar. I was the one who hijacked the liar's page when we trapped the fixer at the press. I took it and turned the poison into proof. That bouquet surprise was not mine. It was the last dirty trick from the senator to break them in public and save himself. I used his own greed to pull the final wire. At exactly 6 p.m., as the couples raised their hands for their first dance, every screen in the hall lit up with the leak. The full ring, the payments, the faces, the dates, the signatures. Outside, sirens sang again, not for fear but for change. Some powerful names left through the kitchen. Some stayed and clapped for love while sweltering like dry season. In the middle of it all, Amara whispered into Tunde's ear and smiled like sunrise. Later, as night wore slippers and the city started to whisper about everything it had seen, I stood by my car and looked at the key in my palm. The second, AA 1999, the one Mama gave me to keep safe that afternoon. She had pressed it into my hand and said, "Storyteller, make sure today ends with truth." I kept my promise. They drove away in a simple car, no convoy, no noise, just two people who started as enemies and chose to be partners, not only in love but in work that actually helps children learn. And the shock you came for? Here it is. The parts that will keep you arguing at Buka's table when the dust settled and EFCC finished their arrest, when the news anchors wiped sweat and said, "Back to you in the studio," when the band was packing up and the hall smelled of flowers and pepper soup. I walked back inside to pick my forgotten cap and found a small envelope on the couple's table with my name. Inside was a single note in round, careful handwriting. "Thank you for turning fire into light. If you ever need a seat at our table, there is always one. P.S. That anonymous page you used. We built it to defend ourselves, but fear made us hide. You made it do the right thing in the open. A and T." So now you know why the phone rang, why the key mattered, why two enemies stood side by side while big men tried to keep them apart. You know why the city shouted and you laughed and then danced again. You know why truth took long to arrive but finally found chairs for love to sit. And if you are still asking whether I uploaded that video at 6 p.m., let me end with the last shock, the one that even I did not expect. By morning, another drop hit the internet. Records from years back showing all the ghost contracts that killed dreams. Names that were never supposed to be said out loud. None of it came from me. Someone else, somewhere, had learned from what we did and decided to open a window too. The city is awake now. Love is awake now. And enemies? They can still quarrel on Twitter if they want. But in real life, in the classrooms where children's eyes shine when they finally understand a thing, Amara and Tunde are building something that even scandal cannot break. This is Lagos. This is Nigeria. This is how they were enemies until love happened, and how a rusty key, a hidden phone, and a stubborn truth turned in a wedding into a revolution that people will talk about for days and days and days. The end. The moral lesson from this story is love and truth can overcome lies, greed, and rivalry. When people choose fairness over pride, even enemies can become partners who change the world for good. Please leave a comment like and share, and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching.